Hey everyone, this is Riley's Productions here doing a product demo on XRP's ProPlus and Race Crimp hose and hose ends as to why they're one of the best products to use when plumbing your project car or race car. Here is a sample of one. This is a Dash AN12. As you can see there, it's made in USA. XRP. Hard to see the logo. What's there? There it is. XRP. There you go. These hoses are crimped. If you can see, there's a collar, an aluminum collar. This is a Dash 12 AN. It's one of my oil lines that I have to send back to XRP actually. So I'm going to show you why these are so durable, used by tons of race teams. As I'll show you the construction of it and why they're so tough and race proven on the racetrack. This hose end is still intact. It's about, I would say, 1.5 feet long. I need a longer piece to extend my hose oil line towards the back. I need to extend it, so I need a longer piece. I already cut this side off. I'll show you. And here is the collar that I cut off earlier. It's hard to focus. There it is. Let me show you. There's an aluminum collar that they crimp on. This thing was so tough to take off, and that's what you want. That's why these things are so durable. If you can see there closely, the collar is crimped onto the hose end fitting, so there's no way that this will loosen up or leak unless there's a defect, but these get pressure tested when you assemble them anyways. If you can see there, that collar crimps on to the little barbs here onto the hose end, and it makes such a positive seal, and it's so difficult to take off, and like I said, that's what you want. So I'll do a little product how-to on how to cut it off, and I'll show you guys how, my methods of how to do it. It's crude, but it's effective. So what I did was, if you can see on the collar here, it's at a diagonal angle. Because what I did was I took a hacksaw and sawed off the portion of the collar with a hacksaw. I went at a diagonal angle, that way you can get more surface area and not harm or nick the hose end. Because the trick to it is to protect the hose end underneath. There's one small nick that I got there, but it's, you see right there, it's that white portion right there. It's a small nick, but it's not going to do anything as long as the male end of the hose isn't touched. It'll seal fine. This thing still spins around pretty good. So I'll show you guys how I'll cut this portion here diagonally with a hacksaw. It's in that fashion, and like I already did it on this side, so I'll show you my method on how to do it. Okay, so I started pre-cut already. If you can see there's a line. I started that off with a hacksaw. You can do this with a Dremel, but with a hacksaw it gives you better control. A Dremel will, it's hard to control, and you might nick the hose fitting itself, and that's not what you want to do. So I'm doing this with a hacksaw, cutting it right now. And then you want to go at a diagonal angle up to where the hose crimp ends. And that's the tricky part, because that's where it touches the hose end. The collar, the aluminum collar, where it touches the hose, if you cut through that with a saw, it's not going to do anything, because this end is already damaged anyways. But you can save this long piece for a shorter hose if you need it in the future. But if you cut here with a hacksaw down to the monofilament, this is black monofilament, by the way, it's not going to do anything as long as you cut it carefully. I'll keep cutting and I'll show you my progress. So here's my progress so far. I cut down with a hacksaw through the aluminum collar to the tubing underneath. I cut it carefully and was careful to stop at this portion of the collar and not nick any of the hose end up above. Once you get to this step, you can either use a screwdriver to wedge it in there and pretty much crack the rest of the collar. It's still holding right there, but if you wedge a screwdriver in there and twist the screwdriver, it should crack at this point. And that's how you break the collar off. You pretty much have to destroy these collars off. You have to understand these are put on with a crimping machine down at XRP. So it uses a lot of pressure to crimp the aluminum collar onto the tubing. So that's what makes it so rugged and durable and reliable. Like I said, these hose ends will not leak if they're built correctly, and they'll last a lifetime. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another line on the back, another same line that's diagonal as well, and then just snap it off with a screwdriver. That way it's a lot easier. Even if you get to this step, it's still a bitch to take it off, because it's still a solid hold on there. So that's what I'll do, and I'll show you guys my progress. So here, guys, I made 2 cuts on the collar now. If you can see, they both go through down to the tubing, and then it's a matter of just shoving a screwdriver on there, seeing if it'll snap. So the trick is just to snap the collar on top. So I wedged a screwdriver there. You see the crack expanded basically. So I wedged a screwdriver there and just turn counterclockwise. This thing will snap eventually. Just gotta manhandle it. If the collar isn't snapping easily, that means there's still a lot of meat on the aluminum. So go ahead and very carefully use a hacksaw to remove a little bit of the aluminum, but be careful not to touch the hose end, because if you damage the hose end, then all your hard work is done for. But you see right there, there's still a bit of meat on there, so go ahead and use a hacksaw just to cut that down and remove some material. If you can see closely, I used a screwdriver to crack it. Now that part of the collar is cracked off now, so this collar should be coming off pretty soon. I need to crack this side with the screwdriver. So there you go. I was able to wedge the screwdriver under there and crack this portion off. See the collar's coming off nicely. You gotta be careful though, some sharp edges. So it's coming off pretty nicely with a screwdriver. It's pretty crude, but it's effective. There. So it's off. See the construction on the collar. It's pretty durable. So this tubing is going to come off pretty soon. So I was able to get the collar off completely. Now here's the hose end. See? Let me focus. The hose itself will protect the hose end. You can see, still pristine. Just wash it off and be able to reuse it. Make sure you get all the aluminum filings off. That'll just wash right off with soap and water. So that's how to cut off the hose end. And now you use clear vinyl tubing. This is stuff I got from Ace Hardware. You just stick the hose end on one end, and then you stick the other hose end on the other end, and then you mail the whole assembly back to XRP, and they'll cut you whatever size hose you want. So that's the beauty of using XRP ProPlus Race Crimp hose end. This stuff is still reusable. These ends are frayed, but I can tape them off with blue tape and cut them off with a cutoff wheel, and I can still reuse the tubing here. This stuff's great because it's PTFE lined, Teflon lined, so it's impervious to pretty much any fluid out there, any alcohols, E10, E85, you name it, it'll flow it no problem. And you can see how tough it was to take this piece off. So there's a little the collar. These things are so strong that no wonder professional race teams use these. And it's the same plumbing that I use on the CUDA itself. So there you go, guys. We're an XRP dealer here at Riley's Productions. Hit us up if you have any XRP needs. RileysPro.com, RileysPro at Instagram. Bye. Have a nice day.